Hello, everybody. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Georgianna.
And this is Wholehearted Loving, where we teach you simple tools to grow the muscles you need to be with big feelings and overwhelming sensations in your body.
Whether you have active challenges in your life or relationships, or whether you're just here to learn to be kinder to yourself, we pull out all the little things that make life feel better, the things that give you a sense of hope and direction.
So if you're too hard on yourself or on others,
if you want to feel real, deep connection in your life and relationships,
even if you want to reprogram your inner critic while you're sleeping,
this is a great place to be.
So welcome, and we hope this episode brings you just the tidbit you needed today.
Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today we're going to give you a recipe for coming home, for the transition between work and stress time to home and presence and comfort time. You'll be able to find self-reflection prompts for this episode and every episode on our Instagram at Wholehearted Loving. And you can learn more about us and how to practice with us live at wholeheartedloving.com. And we're going to start with a body-based self-connection practice.
So let's see. Let's start. I naturally just pulled my shoulders up. So maybe just a few shoulder raises. See what the shoulder raises bring you to next. I originally was going to start with some hand squeezes. So if that feels like a good thing to try out, you could try that out. Yeah, notice what
this led me into finger pulls, which makes me think of people who crack their knuckles and how that can be, you could be adding presence to that, you know?
Yes, I'm one of those people sometimes. And now I am squeezing my fingers, squishing them in between my thumb and my other fingers. So right now we're using a body practice here. We're using body practices here that are not necessarily intended to make you feel better. They're intended to just see if you can feel your body. And that's why I love the hand squeeze. I often end session with clients with a simple, would it be okay to just bring a squeeze to the hands, right? And they're like, oh, right, I'm here. It's just a nice way to come back to the body. It's simple. No one ever has too much of an expectation that they're going to feel way better about their life after squeezing their hands. So it's nice too. Like no one ever feels disappointed. They're just like, oh yeah, I feel my hands. Good. Great. You're a little bit more here. If you'd like to pair that with a breath, we could always do the inhale through the nose and then inhale a little bit more, see what else you can inhale, and then a long, deep sigh out. And I like to always say, it's like you give yourself a choose your own adventure. Would you like 1 or 3 of those breaths? So you choose. If 1 was enough, be good with 1. But if you think that 2 more either could be nice, or it would be nice, or you're curious to see if it would be nice, try out 2 more of those breaths. I'm going to choose for 2 more. It's really neat because I love choose your own adventure books as a kid. And I really love it in body practices because I noticed after I did 1, I wanted 2 more. But then on my last one, I noticed, I actually want to focus my gaze on something. I want to look at something. Not because I wanted to look at the ring light, but as I glanced over there was something pulling me that said, be present here. Which is different than having like sort of a soft general gaze or closing my eyes. I knew like as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I want to pause here. I want to have my eyes have something to focus on. And I want to experience this breath of the double inhale and the long exhale. And that moment gave me something different than if my eyes would have been fluttering around, or I would have been looking down, or I would have had my eyes closed. There's nothing wrong with any of those options, but I could feel the pull of, I think what my body needs right now is actually to also focus my eyes on something. So my hope for you is that as you start playing around with these things, you start getting those signs from your body that says, oh, I think what I need right now is this.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when things start getting really fun. Because
Yeah.
we always thought those things didn't exist. Those insights didn't exist. The wisdom, I don't know what I need, but like, I think you do.
I
It's
think you
there.
do. And it takes experimenting, right? Like today we're going to give you a recipe and you might want to add your own seasoning, or there might be aspects of the recipe that like don't agree with your stomach. So you want to throw your own in there. For me, I think it's worth re-mentioning that with the breath that we just did, I can't properly be present with that breath unless I also add the ingredients of squeezing my hands and feeling my feet on the floor.
Yeah.
There's too much space for my brain to be doing other things. So I fill it up with those additional sensory bits, and that can
Yeah.
bring presence.
And you wouldn't know that unless you're willing to give yourself permission to play around.
Yeah.
Right. But if you are following any kind of old conditioning that says other people must know me better, and if it
Mm-hmm.
works for other people, it should work for me. And if it doesn't, then something must be wrong with me. Then you're going to miss out on the opportunity to really get clearer on what works for your system the way it's wired right now. And that's going to change over time also.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. Yeah, and moment to moment. So the recipe that we're going to give you today, it's like what you just described at the end of your sessions. You have a hand squeeze, right? It's a threshold moment that you're marking. We're moving from in session to wrapping up the session. And the recipe we're going to give you today is for one of those threshold times when you've arrived at home and you want to leave your day, in the car with you. You want to bring a different aspect of yourself into your home. You want to feel differently during this threshold period.
mhm.
And yeah, G, do you want to say something about that or?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll tell a little story, right, of context. I mean, I've heard this many times from clients. I've experienced it myself. I'm busy running errands, and then I'm going to pick up my kids, or like, but been running all over the place trying to get stuff done, and I'm walking into the house, and it's like a zoo already inside, and like it takes everything in me to not lose it, right? Or maybe I do lose it, and it when I don't give myself transition time, when I don't create the habit of caring for myself and checking in with myself before I insert my energy into a space with people or take on theirs, it often doesn't end well or it doesn't feel great during.
Yeah.
And, recently I was working with someone and they said, do you have any tips? Because man, like I come home, I've had a busy day, I'm sort of all over the place, and I just really want to be there for my family, for my wife and my kids and the pets and whatever. And they're raring and ready for me to like be there and bring a certain amount of presence and connection and help. And I find that by the time, like I'm in there, like I'm joining the chaos or the dance or the whatever that ends up leaving us all maybe a bit more escalated than is helpful and a bit more escalated than is pleasant.
Yeah.
And I love that he had the willingness to be that honest about this part of his day because don't we all experience that? Don't we all sometimes in hindsight think, I wish I would have been more present in that moment? Or, man, I could have seen that fight coming with the way
Right.
I entered the room or entered the house and what energy I was in and where my head was at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we swirl, right? We're describing swirling with
Yeah.
work and then just swirling right into the next swirl of family.
Yes.
And when you're saying take the time to transition, it's more like time, is a sensitive subject. We don't have a lot of it, but it's taking the intentional moment to transition. Like it doesn't need to take a lot of time. You can make this transition in, 1 minute.
Yes. And that's the thing. It's like, even if you're all about efficiency, I guarantee you, like, this minute has a higher return on investment than an extra minute of swirling. Right. And
Sure.
this is the thing is that I've never met, like, I've heard this story and complaint from people for decades when I've been working with them. It's not unfamiliar, it's pretty common. I've never met anyone who told me they struggled with this who wasn't well intentioned about who they wanted to be when they walked in the door and what they wanted to be able to contribute to their family when they walked in the door. They want to be there. They want to help. And we're under the, I think, misguided belief that the faster I walk through that door, the earlier I arrive, the better it will be and the better I can help. And that is really far from the truth most of the time, unless it's an
Yeah.
actual emergency.
Yes. And I think we're also wired and taught that to have the time to settle down requires a 2-week vacation or
Yes.
like a half an hour of zoning out on my phone or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is. So then it's impossible for us to believe that it could be just like a 30-second practice that you can do in your car before you walk in the door.
Yeah. And as we were talking, I started asking some questions. I'm like, well, what do you do between work and running into the house? And I could see the light bulbs were turning. And they're like, wait a second. I could do something before I got home. Like I could even park the car a block before the house, right? Because they were talking about, like my partners, like hearing the car pull up, my dogs are seeing the car pull up, and they're already anxious to have me in the house helping. And then I sense that that's happening, and I hear the dogs, and I'm rushing around, and like we're just all in that frenzy of a swirl. And it was so neat to watch his face light up and be like, wait a second, maybe there's a different way I could do this where nobody even knows I'm close to home, right? And then we joked about whether they had Find My Phone, within their family share locations. And we worked on how to navigate that also. But this was about being intentional, about building in some time for yourself to reset, building in a transition moment from one part of your day or one activity or one type of energy to let's reset and then get intentional about what kind of energy you want to bring into the next part of your day.
Yeah. So hit us with the recipe.
Okay, the recipe. And so this is not the only recipe, it is a recipe. And it is a recipe for you to try and see what parts of it your body likes, doesn't like, what you may be inspired to try because you started out with this recipe. So this is a base recipe. And whenever we guide people through somatic body connection practices in our group work, we always say this is our starting point. You can start here, or maybe your body already knows a place you want to start. You can start here and then just see how things evolve and transform from there. So this is your beginning point. So let's imagine we've all just pulled up in the car, right? So this is a sitting situation.
From a frazzly day. Wait, we haven't just pulled up in the car, tra-la-la. We've been stressed out all day. We've been in crazy traffic. It's too hot. We know, the dog and the wife and the kids are going to be running out into the yard and expecting us to launch right into their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are in our car.
And we are already feeling frazzled. And we may be already feeling rushed. And maybe even a little bit guilty that you haven't already done more or gotten home earlier, right? Or you're just freaking dreading walking in the door. Yeah. Or you're dreading walking in the door. Who knows, right? But any mix of all of the above. So taking a moment to feel your butt on the seat. And like, I know when I say feel your butt on the seat, a lot of people are like, yeah, of course I feel my butt on my seat, but do you really? Right? So see what you might need to do to really actually feel your butt on the seat.
Yeah, bring your awareness into your butt. Move your consciousness into your butt cheeks.
Right? And for me, often it means I need to shift a little from side to side or front to back to really feel the sit bones like resting on something, smushing on something. So this next part of the recipe is our shoulder rolls. So what that looks like is we breathe in through the nose and we bring our shoulders up to the ears. And then As we breathe out through the mouth, you roll your shoulders back first and then down. And on that exhale, if you can connect to a sighing breath or a deeper exhale, great. You're just going to do 3 of these at your own pace. And this is just letting the day melt a little bit away. The stressors of the day, the tasks of the day. This is marking that that part of the day is finished. Okay. Now we're going to shift into the next part. So for the sake of this practice, we're going to keep it short and introduce the components to you. But you can, when you're doing this for yourself, and we encourage you, play with it. You might want more than 3. I always operate in sets of 3. It makes it easy for my brain. I'm like, hey, I did 3. I check in. How did that feel? Do I want 3 more? Am I finished? Right? But for now, we'll move into the next one, which is to make gentle fists with your hands. We're going to rest them on the chest. And we're just going to give ourselves little love taps or love thumps, whatever you want to call them. It's like, what are we playing? Gorilla?
Yes.
Yes. And you're just going to thump those fists up and down, sort of where the sternum is, the front of the chest. And you're going to thump them as vigorously or as slowly as what feels good for you. And if it feels good to bring some awareness to your inhale and exhale, you could do that as well. And find a pace that feels good. And this bit is about releasing, letting go of. What are you letting go of from your day that you don't need to hold anymore? You could park it for tomorrow or another time. Maybe it's a certain energy that you're finished with or a task.
This is a really, I want to say hopeful making. Like when I'm doing the shoulders up and back, I think that's so associated with stress release for me. Whereas this thumping one becomes, what do I want? How do I want to show up? Like it's creating space for something beyond the stress I just released.
Yes, right? And so we're all going to associate different things with different body movements. So I'll always give you a suggestion. But like for Steph, this is like summoning up, how do I want to feel? What do I want to bring into the moment? For me, it's more of like, what am I releasing, right? What am I letting go of? So it really doesn't matter what you associate it with, but it's great that you associate with something. So if all you do is you want to thump, it's still going to be beneficial. It's still going to be great. But if you think it would be helpful for you to associate this movement with something that is supportive for you, something you want to release or something you want to bring in, bring that to mind. Okay. The next thing is finding this acupressure point. And how you do that, you can use your left hand or right. You're going to find your pinky. We're on the palm side of the hand. Trace down your pinky all the way down the side of your hand towards where your wrist is, where your wrist crease is. And underneath that pinky spot, you're going to find by the wrist crease a bump. And we're just going to press to the inside of that bump, right? So there's a bump and then there's like a little divot there. This goes lower, yeah. You can hold that spot. You could apply pressure or pressure with some circular motion and just let the arms hang or rest in a way that feels good. You could have your eyes open or closed. And here I like to imagine, what kind of energy do I want to bring into this moment and to the next part of my day? Am I wanting a revved up energy, a cheerful energy, a slow and peaceful energy, a curious or present energy? You choose. Maybe it's a get things done energy. I don't know. Right? But let yourself choose and be intentional about the energy you want to bring into this next part of your day. You could hang out here for another breath or 3. And again, this could be an eyes open or eyes closed thing. And then I like to always ask myself, sort of at the end, to mark the end of these practices, do I need any touch? Do I want to place a hand on my chest, on my head? Do I want to give myself a hold, right? What marks the end? So we're doing this practice to mark a transition from one part of the day to the other, but also what marks the end of this practice for you, right? And it can just be something that takes 1 second. but it lets your system know, okay, we're finished with this. We're moving to the next thing now. And have a little check-in, have a little look around. See how the world looks to you now. Notice how you feel now. What's the energy in your body? Do you feel ready for the next part of your day, or a little more ready, or a little clearer on what you still might need before you transition to the next part of your day? Right?
For me, this would be a good time to think about some potential realities of what's next, of what might be next, and what energy I want to bring to that, how I want to respond. If I'm moving from one swirl into another swirl, and in the second swirl, anyone does anything that I find remotely irritating, it would be very easy for me to quickly jump back into the swirl. But if I'm preparing in advance, like, okay, I know I might anticipate X, Y, or Z from my children if I had them, then I can move into that with like a plan, with like a nervous system show up plan.
Yes. Right? So, yeah, if you have children, well, if you have people in your life, people are unpredictable. You don't always know what you're walking into, right? But sometimes there's a pattern, right? After school, I sort of have a general sense of what the vibe is if I'm going to walk in. And if I know people are going to be coming at me, Mom, what's for dinner? Mom, what's there to eat? All this like immediately, I can let myself know I'm probably going to have a lot of energy come towards me. And so what I'd like to do is feel the sturdiness within me as I meet that energy that's coming towards me. Or I know when my children were younger and I found some of that energy a bit overwhelming sometimes, because I'm also like a auditory sensitive person and a space needer. So when you have little kids who are loud and want to be right in your face, it can be a bit overwhelming. One thing that really helped me is feeling my sturdiness, but also looking for their innocence in their eyes and their cheeks. And then all of a sudden, something in me would shift, right? And I often find this if you're about to walk in to someone who you want to have good connection with, but you know that sometimes being in their presence overwhelms you. See if you can connect to a sense of sturdiness within yourself, whatever that means, however you might want to use a body practice to do that. And then see if you could look for some innocence in their eyes or their cheeks. And it generally leads to better connection, better presence.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So there's a little recipe. We slowed it way down because we're walking you through sort of the hows and the whys along the way. But I am all about being efficient, and I am all about finding ways to slip these little moments in. And I love that I can throw something like this in very easily, very quickly. It doesn't actually take me very much time to feel my butt on the seat, 3 shoulder rolls, a little bit of tapping and thumping, and then holding that pressure point for 3 breaths. Next time we should just set a stopwatch because it really doesn't take very much time. Probably you could do all of that in less than 1 minute. And I guarantee you it's going to be the best return on investment of 1 minute that you could have before you walk into the door.
Well, why don't we do that as a closing practice to mark the transition between this episode existing and being done?
Okay, beautiful. Why don't we? So let's feel the butt on the seat. And then when you're ready, we'll go into the shoulder rolls. It's breathing in through the nose, shoulders up. Breathing out through the mouth, roll the shoulders back first and then down, connecting to a sense of melting, if that's helpful for you. At your own pace, shifting into the thumping. For me, I connect with what am I releasing? You might connect it to what do I want to presence to? Imagine you're in a rush and there isn't lots of time, and transition already to your next one, because sometimes it will be those moments. Finding that acupressure point if it helps you. If you prefer just to give your hands a squeeze, that's fine. Presencing to what energy do I want to bring into the next part of my day. Being there for 3 breaths. Sometimes I just think about one word. And then a little hand squeeze to finish off. Ta-da! You're finished.
That's great. Thank you. Feel more effective and present already. Yay. I'm going to use this many times today. Thanks, Gigi.
Yes, you can take it anywhere. It costs you nothing. And the cool thing is, when you do start doing this more, it won't take you that long, but what you're going to start noticing, because what I can do now, when I first started doing this, I would do my shoulder rolls very slowly. And I still enjoy that. But what's very cool is because I've done it a few more times, and after I did it, and while I did, I'm like, oh, that's such a nice feeling. Now, whenever I shoulder roll, the neurons fire together already. It already signals it's okay to chill, right? So even before I finished even half a shoulder roll, that's firing in my system. Oh, it's chill time. Okay. And so my shoulder roll, it could take longer, but it doesn't need to for me to already begin to feel a shift.
Yeah,
That
I think that's
really
a super
cool.
important note. This isn't, in this case, this probably will make you feel better, but it might not. It might just help you be with, but you're definitely rewiring all of these patterns and creating these new synapses that give you access to a different set of tools by nature.
Mm-hmm. And what's really cool is this is easy to teach to anybody.
Yeah.
So, you can practice it with people you care about.
Yeah.
And most people are open to this is not really that hard. And it's not asking anyone to be deeply emotionally vulnerable with you, right? Sometimes with kids, we make it into a game and it's fun, simple, quick. Generally, I've never encountered anyone who says they feel worse. If there is a time where someone might say, I feel worse because it's stirring something up in me, then we learn to celebrate that. Oh, how is it helpful for you to realize there's actually a lot right under the surface for you that's ready to be tended to? And how does it benefit you to be aware of that going into the next part of your day? That you're just a little eye roll from the person across from you away from losing it. That's really good to know.
Yes.
Right? So even if doing these practices connects you to some sort of feeling that isn't feeling super pleasant, this is putting you ahead of the game. You're proactively exploring what could be there. Versus I'm taking all of this energy into the house with no idea it's just under the surface. Yeah. And then all it takes is one tiny thing to not go the way I want it to go. And then it all comes out, but in a way that we generally feel like we have to repair later.
Solid recipe. Thank you, Gigi. And thank you all for being here. That's it for this week. As always, please do like, follow, and subscribe. And if this recipe has been helpful for you, please share with somebody that you care about. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.